It's now my pleasure to introduce and bring up to the stage a really dynamic person, a person I've known for a while, a person who has great energy, great intellect, and a person that I admire greatly, a person that's creative, and a person that I am pleased to follow along this journey with NAHRO. So welcome, if you will, our creative, dynamic, and energetic CEO, Adrianne Todman.
So whenever there is a first, I always want to take a moment because it's so easy to say, it's the first this, it's the first that, and not really think about the history of that first. The woman who was just up here, I admired her for years in her former role, being tough, sort of standing up to folks who did not want to be stood up to, and doing it with grace and humility. And so for us to have received words from Ms. Alsterbrooks is a blessing. Because I promise you, there will be a day, I promise you, there will be a day where she's going to be someplace else, someplace a little bit higher, maybe state, maybe national. That's how good she is. And we're going to say, I remember she came to our conference. Thank you for not just the history that you've made, for the amazing work you are doing and will continue to do. Let's hear it for our county executive. Yeah, every now and then we got to remember, we are in Prince George's. Good job. So, I want to give kudos to a comment that was made earlier about our president, Carl Ricci, and we talked about a scholarship fund, and Eric did a great job of saying this is something he's did. Let me tell you what that scholarship fund really is. This isn't a $10,000 scholarship fund. This isn't a $400,000 scholarship fund. It's not even a $955,000 scholarship fund. This is $1 million that a very, very strong benefactor turned to our president and said, you know what, I want to help you. And I believe in the vision that you have to help children who are like you, Mr. Ricci, who spent some time in public housing doing some turbulent times in his personal family life. Because there are Carl Ricci's out there who need that support. And so it was easy for me to turn to our benefactor, LDG Developers, and create this amazing scholarship fund. And how it will work, it will be some of your babies who are eligible for this scholarship. So there's no other, I'll say not even affordable housing, there's no other housing entity that I can think of in the country, I'm gonna even say the world, I'm gonna get bold, that has $1 million scholarship fund for its low-income children. That's something. Thank you, Carl Ricci, for that. So, you know, Carl and Sonia, right? This is the power region. You know, we've got Maryland, clearly a power in its own right, Pennsylvania, New York, home of the largest agency in the country. Sometimes that works for us, sometimes it doesn't. New Jersey, my little hometown of DC, and of course my true hometown, the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. So this is a power region. It's a power region. And because you are so powerful, and because you have in my heart home court advantage, and let me say hello to the home team, DCHA, woohoo! Okay, I'm done. Because you have in my heart home court advantage is why I've been traveling the country aggressively the past 2 years to go to places like Iowa and Nebraska and Oregon and Louisiana, to go to the West Coast, to go to places where I never knew these people existed, right? When I'm in Iowa and I sit down and I talk to somebody, so for many of you who are running sort of very large agencies here, or just even moderate-sized agencies, when I'm in Iowa and I sit down with somebody where it's her and one other person, and that's it. That's the agency. And the executive director is doing the research, the executive director is doing the inspections, the executive director is doing everything that many of you out there have stats for, it's an aha moment. And so by traveling, I'm learning who the NAHRO family is. And why is that important? Because NAHRO will be the premier professional association for every houser and community development professional out there. We will be the large umbrella that offers everything to everyone, no matter where you are in your career. So if you just began working at your agency a couple weeks ago, and, well, you're probably not here, but if you've been working for maybe a couple years ago and you're new, and you're like, you know what? I don't know what goes next. I don't know what, I know this government thing, it feels strange. NAHRO will be there for you to help you propel into that next career move. If you're an executive director and you're trying to figure out every single budget season, how am I going to make this all work? And you need to speak to folks who do this every day the same way you do, where you have to have that sense of, you know, bulletproof confidence that it will be okay, but sometimes you go home and say, you know, I might have to do something different next year, right? There is a place for you too to be able to talk and share your concerns in confidence, because I know what that feels like personally. NAHRO is your home, and it will continue to be your home for another 86 years. Who knew that we celebrated 85 years last year? 85 years, anybody? Yeah, 85 years. You know, that's impressive. We were there at the beginning, right? We were there when the original Housing Act was being created. The power of that history invigorates me to propel us into the future about what's the next thing? What's the next thing that works for us? And that's why it was so important for me to, while you all are always in my heart, to have more of a presence outside of this region, because we have to take the whole country with us. The whole country. And each one of you in this room, being in this power region, are all my ambassadors to getting that done. So when my team and I call on you to say, hey, we need to do a tour, or we need you to testify, or we need to get a group together because this is happening, I need folks to raise their hand and say, we got you. Do I have an amen on that? We got you. We're going to show up, whether or not it's somebody trying to cut a voucher program or trying to do more harm to the capital fund, that you all will show up engaged. And maybe you'll bring some residents with you, right? There is nothing more compelling than having some of our residents who live in public housing, who benefit from the voucher program, tell their story. Just yesterday, I received a text from one of our leaders with NAHRO, Tony Jackson, who is our parliamentarian. She forwarded a Facebook, I think it was a Facebook posting of a young man who had graduated from, was it Texas Southern? Young man, you know, graduation is like rah, rah, rah. And he took the time to list out all the organizations that had done well by him. And she noted, look, there's a mention for the Chicago Housing Authority, right? How often are we blessed as practitioners to have somebody who we hope we help, particularly a young person, say, you know what, the Chicago Housing Authority helped me. That's powerful. And even though I know that sometimes we don't feel that way when, folks are calling and they want to know what's going on with the waiting list and why the inspection wasn't done, and landlords are concerned because it's taken so long and the rent increase hasn't happened. And I know that is every day, right? Boom, 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 boom. I promise you, there is a kid, a mom, a vet, a grandma, who is at this moment saying, whew, you know what? if it wasn't for this housing authority and for Miss Jefferson, Mr. Johnson, Miss Washington, Miss Gonzalez, I don't know what we'd do. Every single day, you may not hear it. You may not hear it, but I promise you, it's happening. It's happening. So to see this young man put that out there just reminds me of how important the work we do is to so many people, even if it is not articulated out loud. So, having been in your shoes and felt the drama, but also felt the love, is what inspires me every single day to make sure that at NAHRO we are doing everything that we can to make those hard moments, to the extent we can, ease those hard moments in your day-to-day life, whether it is pushing back on ACC with HUD, whether it is, having really awkward conversations with congressional staffers about why the admin fee is not just money for bureaucrats, but it's actually important to get inspections done and recertifications done. And if you want folks to find housing, particularly in this region, they need housing counselors, right, to help them navigate. That's what the admin fee is. And I will say, and I've said this a couple times, so darn it, I'm gonna say it here too, that one conversation began to shape in this staffer's mind the importance of the admin fee. And I'm gonna give credit to my organization and to my team for helping to bump up the admin fee this past year for fiscal 19, because those things don't happen on a whim. Folks don't sit around saying, you know what I'm gonna do today? I'm gonna go to work and I'm gonna increase the admin fee. It came to me in a dream. Something no congressional staffer ever said. They need to be propelled, and they need to then hear it from groups like NAHRO, but then have a domino effect and a drumbeat from you all sending your letters and pushing and saying to your congressional leadership, this is important. And it's worked. We had a great 18 budget. We had a better 19 budget. And right now, Chairman Price on the House side dropped the draft budget for 2020 with numbers that are better than 19, and we're hoping that those are sustained. So our efforts work. Your efforts work. And so I'll close with this. That all those moments when you go home and you're exhausted, and you've got, it's really hard for you to put the phone down and not check the email because you say something else is going on, something's going on. I want you to know that there is no more important work in this region, in this country, than the work that each and every one of you do every day. There really is no more important work. Housing is health. Housing is education. Housing is well-being. And sometimes we lose that perspective because we're caught in the crux of it. But you are doing such meaningful work. And it makes me proud to be able to go to any congressional office and to any meeting at HUD and have every single one of you walking in there with me. That's why I love you. That's why I love NAHRO. Enjoy the rest of your day.